Hey everybody, welcome back to Joyful Living. Today we're talking guest rooms. Thanksgiving, as this video is going up, is just over a week away, and I know a lot of you have guests descending on your home, maybe for the first time in a minute, right? Because we've been through some stuff. And if that's you and you're looking for some inspiration to make your guests feel welcome and right at home, this is the video for you. So I actually, as I'm filming this, have guests on the way to my house tomorrow, and over the last several weeks I have been converting one room into a designated guest room, and then just sort of depersonalizing one of my other son's rooms that will go back to being his room because he's away at college, and it's all a little bit complicated, but I'm going to talk about that process. I'm also going to show you exactly what I've done in the guest rooms to make it really welcoming for my wonderful international guests who are actually coming from Ireland and from London. So it's super fun and I'm so excited to have them. But I wanted to go over just some basics. So the number one thing I want you to remember when you are inviting guests into your home is that presumably these are people who love you, okay? So do not feel like it has to be perfect. Your home is not going to be perfect. You're not running a hotel. You don't have the budget of a hotel. And if they wanted perfection, they would stay at the Four Seasons. Odds are they're staying with you because it's a very close and intimate thing, and they want to see how you actually live. And if how you actually live isn't perfect, I know it isn't at our house, then don't feel like you have to make it perfect for guests. But you do want to take some extra care to kind of, give it your best shot. So the first thing that I did in these two spaces was to deep clean them. And, I think we live in our homes and we maybe don't always realize that some of the detail stuff gets overlooked. Like I really noticed that the windowsills were in bad shape. One of the screens had a hole in it and I want my guests to be able to open the windows, so I replaced the screen. Just kind of like dusting ceiling fans, checking the vents. One of the vents was just, oh my gosh, so terrible. I can't even tell you. How are we living that way? I don't know. But really look at the space where your guests are going to be with a more critical eye than maybe how you live in the space every day. This was the very first thing that I did. And then the second thing I had to do was take care of the bedding. My son, who moved out of the room that is now the guest room, but is also his room, actually took all of his furniture with him, including his bed. So I had to purchase a new mattress, a new bed frame. We went with the Casper hybrid mattress. I bought it through Costco.com, non-affiliate, but I will link it because I was really happy with the bed frame and the mattress itself. It was just under $1,000 for both pieces, a queen set. My house guest, don't worry, I didn't buy that just for you. That room needed to have a new mattress. But don't skimp here if you're buying a mattress specifically for a guest room. I think it's tempting to say, well, someone's not going to be on it all the time, but I want my guests to be really comfortable, so I'm going to make sure I get a good high quality mattress so that they can get a really good night's sleep. You also don't want to skimp on the bedding here, and you also want to layer the bedding. And here's why. People have different temperatures that they're comfortable with when they sleep. Some people sleep hot, some people sleep cold, and most homes, they're not going to have an individual thermostat, so you're going to set the thermostat at what you always do, and you want to make sure that the sheets are nice and cool, but also maybe if they get too chilled, that there are options for added blankets for them. I have a beautiful duvet on both beds. I have great sheets on both beds, and then I'm putting a fan in each room because in case they get too warm, they have the option of a fan as well. So as much as is possible, think about the comfort of their actual sleeping environment and making sure that it's nice and comfy for them. Okay, the third thing is, after you've relaxed because you're not perfect and you've taken care of the bedding, is taking care of just like their personal needs. You want to make sure the bathroom that they're going to use is, again, clean. Make sure it's well stocked with clean towels, that they know where extra towels are, that it's obvious where things like toilet paper are. I went ahead and left a little basket filled with a bunch of trial sizes of different things. I made sure there was fresh shampoo and conditioner in the shower. I made sure there were razors in there, just anything and everything you think that they might have forgotten. It just kind of says, we're really glad you're here, and it keeps them from having to either run to the local drugstore or ask you where something is. Just kind of take the time to walk through the space and go, okay, if I were living in this room, I would want to make sure that I had a fresh bar of soap and I had hand lotion and I had, just all of those little things. So whatever would make you comfortable is probably also what is going to make your guests comfortable. Another thing to consider is storage. Where are your guests going to put their things? If it's a room that is lived in by someone else, as is the case with one of my son's rooms, I literally took his bedside table drawer and just dumped it into a Rubbermaid box and stuck it under his bed. I don't need to go through his stuff. It's not that kind of a situation, but I did want to make room for my guests to put their things. So try to have at least one dresser drawer available if you can. Try to have some empty hangers so that they can hang things up. At the very least, try to have some hooks available. I actually got some 3M hooks and I just stuck them on the back of the 2 bathroom doors. And also I put a little over the door thing on the back of one of the doors. So there's plenty of spaces for them to hang robes or clothing or bags or whatever they want to do. It doesn't have to be really elaborate here, again, especially if it's a room that's usually lived in by someone else, but do at least make a little bit of space. I actually went ahead and emptied out a drawer in the bathroom for them as well. I made sure there wasn't a lot of stuff on the countertop, so there was plenty of space for them to set up their own toiletries and their own things. And again, it's a small thing, but I think it really says we're not only glad you're here, but we wanted to make sure that you had space to make yourself feel at home. Now we're going to go on to really just going over the top and making them really know how happy you are that they're there. These guests of mine will have traveled a very long way to get to my house, and I wanted to make sure that they felt welcome. So I actually did little snack, they're not really baskets, they're little trays that I bought on Amazon. I'll link them down in the description box. Little wicker trays that I put on there, some bottled water, some snacks, some savory, some sweet, and also just a little card welcoming them, telling them that they are welcome to anything that they want in our home, and also giving them the Wi-Fi password, because that's really important. Everyone needs to know the Wi-Fi password. Now, I have seen people do this where they will frame something really nice and put it on the wall with a Wi-Fi password. I just wrote it in a note. You could just text it to them, but just make sure that that is in a place where they can find it. And speaking of technology, make sure it's really obvious where they can charge things next to the bed. You don't want to have a situation where you have a ton of stuff plugged in and they have nowhere to charge their phones. So in one of the rooms, I actually have a side table that's from Kelly Clarkson Home. If I can still find it on Wayfair, I will link it below. But it has a little flip up door, and then it has USB ports inside the side table, which is genius. But if you don't have that as an option, at least try to have a power strip, or at the very least, make sure you have an empty plug so that it's really easy for your guests. Now, what are they going to do while they're at your house? Well, that kind of depends. Hopefully you've talked about it in advance. If you haven't really talked about it, that's okay too. You may want to have just some local suggestions. Maybe you'll go with them, maybe you won't go with them. If they're going to be touring around on their own, it's really considerate to leave a house key for them, and or the combination to your alarm, because they may want to, we go to bed pretty early around here, and these girls may want to stay out and party. I don't know, it's Atlanta, there's stuff to do here. So I want to make sure they know how to independently come and go from my home. That feels like the least that I could do. And just make it to where they don't have to ask you for everything. And if you're going to be together the whole time, I think communicate that. If everyone's going to kind of do their own thing, communicate that. And if you're me, consider either doing a lot of takeout or taking people out to eat. I am not a great cook anyway, not even for my own family. So whenever we have house guests, we tend to go out. I realize it's an added expense, but I am more than happy to pay for it, because then I don't have to do the meal planning and all of that. That may not be your thing. Your thing may be, big communal meals with your guests, and that's fantastic. I love that for you. But for me, all of that is just a little much, and so I just try to make it a little bit easier on me, and we will be doing takeout or we will be eating out. And then just to remember, these people love you. They're there because they want to spend time with you. They are not putting a white glove, across to see if you're house is perfectly clean. You want it to be clean, but it is not going to be perfect. This is your home. This is where you live. And I hope that whoever you're welcoming into your home, that you are excited to have them, that it doesn't stress you out, and that these few little tips and tricks will really help you make your home as warm and welcoming as it can possibly be. Whatever you're doing today, I hope you're finding joy, and I can't wait to see you next time. Bye.
So I have been very kindly invited to be the first ever guest in the newly refurbished Lefforge guest room, #gifted. Now Jen has done a full tour of this room, so I'm instead just going to test out some of the facilities and give you guys a very honest rating of the room itself. So there was one thing that I was a little bit dubious of, and that was the Jack and Jill bathrooms. I'd never heard of these before, but I certainly didn't want to have to wash myself in a pail of water. It turns out, however, I just have to share with my sister, which is totally fine. Shower experience was top notch. The shower even gave me a little whistle towards the end, which I really appreciated. Mattress test. The snack selection has come with a little personal note as well, and it's all of my favorite little things. So we've got some peppermint bark, my favorite water. You know, it's these little touches with personalization that just really makes a 5-star room, in my opinion. So we need to talk about these blinds. Never seen anything like them in my life, but look, you just like move them and they just like stay where you put them. What sort of sorcery is this? Overall, it's a 5-star review from me. Thank you, Jen, so much for inviting me, and thank you guys for watching. Bye.